Welcome to the Predictable Revenue Podcast, where sales leaders teach you what's working for them so you can build it yourself. Welcome back to the Predictable Revenue Podcast. I'm your host, Collin Stewart, and today I am rejoined by the SnapBar's one and only Sam Eitzen. Sam, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's good to be back.
It's great to see you. So for those who haven't caught the first episode, this is a continuation. I was planned for an hour and a bit for the episode. And this one went long because we just kept talking and we went down a really interesting mental health detour. And I really enjoyed that. But I really wanted to pick up and finish the SnapBar story. And so, as we come back into this one, maybe we can finish with I think where we had ended was you were coming out of sabbatical, you felt less ambitious, you had a healthier relationship with your business, and we never really got back to the business itself. And so you've just got to the question from a customer about whether photo booths could work online. Let's take it from there.
Yeah.
What did you build?
Okay.
What did people actually want? Yeah. Talk to me about the process of creating this new thing.
Yeah, sounds great. So when everything felt like it was falling apart and we got this question, the immediate answer was no, we do not. But as with any type of customer development, it did put the bug in our ear, right? If that's the expression, which is but what if it did? What if we could build what they talked about? And we set about doing two things. One, our CTO focused on building that thing, or as close to whatever version as possible of putting a photo booth on the internet and kind of making it virtual. And then the rest of the team, because it was the middle of the pandemic, pivoted to a completely different idea just to keep the company afloat. And
what was that idea?
It was a completely separate business category called Keep Your City Smiling. Actually, I think the website still exists if you go to keepyourcitysmiling.com, but it was a corporate gifting company. We took small business goods from local chocolatiers, micro roasteries, candle makers, et cetera, who had been decimated because of the tourism collapse, and then basically packaged them into care packages that we sold to our big tech customers, that they would then distribute to all of their remote employees. So corporate gifting, very quick pivot, overnight. And it worked. It did about $1 million in revenue in the 10 months that we ran that. And it was the bridge for SnapBar surviving, and not basically just throwing in the towel and saying, all right, well, events are over, so we're done.
You can't just yada, yada, yada the transition here. You built the biggest photo booth company in America. And then you're like, you know what we should do? We should send people chocolates and AirPods and plants. How did you, how, why, what? Tell me more.
So, when we lost revenue very quickly. It was just a waterfall of cash leaving our bank accounts. We didn't, just events were over. And not only that, but we didn't enforce the contracts that we'd signed with all of our people, all of our clients. We basically allowed them to take their full money back if they wanted it, because we were hey, I don't know. We just felt, we did not know how long the pandemic would last. And so we thought, well, if we act in very good faith now and we maintain these relationships, maybe this will go well for us down the road. And it did, just in a very different way than we thought. And so, the pivot was I'm freaking out one night. I can't sleep. I get out of bed, I think at 11 p.m. I say to myself, I'm not going to go back to bed until I have written out 50 ideas we could pivot to. So I stay up till about 2 a.m. writing these ideas down. It was just a forcing function. I have to write down 50. Literally most of them were absolute garbage. But the next night, my executive team, kind of our leadership team, came over, and our job over cocktails was to whittle the list down. We got from 50 to 17, something like this. The next night I met with my brother, who's my co-founder. We need to pick an idea to run with. And it was basically just this amalgamation of who are our clients? What do we have in terms of warehouse capabilities? We had this printer. We had a business relationship with Uline. We had FedEx shipping rates. And we at first thought swag, we could start a swag company and we'll do your printing and ship it to you. And hey, for a virtual event, you might want a branded water bottle or hoodie or something. But there's a ton of companies doing that. And this is all happening very quickly. My brother went to Seattle and was walking around downtown. Most businesses are closed, walks into a coffee shop. It's empty. How you guys doing? It's horrible. Business sucks for any small enterprise, any small business that relies on foot traffic and tourism. Everyone is either it's just, that was the case.
Yep.
This was before lockdown. So this was early in, events got shut down right away, right? Other businesses had like more time before everyone was forced to stay at home. So it was in that gap of time where we lost all our revenue, but you could still walk into a restaurant. But very soon after that, even restaurants were closed, right? And so he said, well, what if we didn't do swag and shipped it to people? What if we shipped small business goods? And it was like, local to global, because a lot of our companies are these like large organizations like Meta or Microsoft or big healthcare organizations. And, small business, big business helping small business, this kind of like feel good story. So we launched it first at the Shopify site. And you were able to buy a Keep Seattle smiling box, a Keep San Francisco smiling box. So we like mobilized our team to like call small businesses, hit up people on Instagram, see if they had any supply. Then we would buy their product at 50% off. So standard, not 50% off, sorry, wholesale rates. It wasn't just pretty standard. We wouldn't even negotiate. We didn't have the time. And then we would sell you a Keep Seattle smiling box and you could ship it to someone. And that was actually the very first thing that we did. We launched that entire business within about 8 days and it got picked up. GeekWire in Seattle wrote about it. And then we got written up about in like the New York Times and Forbes, and we were on the news. And we were like, it kind of went like our Facebook post got like over 100 shares. I think it was this very good early feel good story of like someone, a business who kind of came on hard times being creative and trying to help other small businesses. And so that propelled the growth. And what we realized when in selling on Shopify and kind of doing this individualized approach is like, it sucks when you are dealing with like coffee roasting and various like perishable products to overbuy. Hey, we're going to buy 200 bags of coffee. And then it takes way longer than we thought to sell 200 boxes that have this coffiness and now it's kind of stale or old. So one day we got an email from Microsoft saying, one of our clients at Microsoft saying, hey, we can't check out with 800 boxes from our Shopify site. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Like, we're not set up to sell 800. We don't even have that availability, but we'd be more than happy to put together a custom box for you because we just need to make sure that some of our suppliers even have 800 candles and 800 things of chocolate. And they're like, yeah, sounds great. So we did. And we found some people that did. And then they're like, could we pay you extra to brand it? And we're like, yeah, totally. Like we were very used to branding like photo booths. And so we just like bought a new type of like wrap material or print material and printed a big old sticker. And if you go to the website, I think you can see what those look like. It's just this very kind of like care package, aid package looking thing. Packed it and shipped it to 800 different people. And that was the beginning of it. We ended up doing a ton more business with big. And so we got rid of the Shopify site and pivoted the whole thing to feel good, not just even feel good, like genuinely small business helping corporate gifting, small business only. So you could never get AirPods. You could never get a branded water bottle. Like we would only work with companies that had like, I think 25 employees or less and was doing under like 5 million in revenue, and oftentimes they were like solo founders making stuff out of their garages type situation.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm looking through the box right now. I can see the Microsoft, H&M, Starbucks, MasterCard. Yeah. Those are, man, like you just love like stuff, hey? Like, hey, we're good at stuff. That's my specialty as an entrepreneur. I know how to get stuff from here to over there. And so you get this thing, so how long into it before you made this pivot? And Microsoft was like, I want 800, probably 8 days.
No, I mean, it was like a month and a half.
Oh, crazy. Okay. And
very soon into it. So we ran the Shopify thing for a good, I think 60 days, maybe, give or take.
Yeah, amazing. You have the unfortunate problem with Microsoft is like, we can't give you too much. We can't give you this amount of money.
Yeah.
Man, the credit card fee on that would have been brutal anyway. So thank God.
Yeah, it was exactly. It was cool. It was a cool pivot. We didn't make, you'd think that it's like, oh my gosh, $1 million, but like we were used to much higher profit margins being like an agency type business reselling our services. So for this, like right away, 50% of your profit is to the small business, which was intentional. But then you've got to pay for the printing, the box, the shipping, and everything else on top of it. So it was good. The labor, we survived as a company, but we were used to making a lot more money. And so it's a great story, but we were not, I realized, very good at running a lean, mean, low margin business for long. And so we shut it down after about 10, 11 months, simply because that is the period of time it took for the other thing, the software, to get off the ground and actually have legs.
So you pivot, you do this crazy new snack box thing, and you should have called it the Snap Box, obviously.
Snap Box, we should have, I know.
Hindsight's 2020. Maybe one day. So you're doing this crazy thing. At what point in the journey are you like, hey, we should be working on this software? Was that all the way through? Was that the through line? And like, this is just a distraction to get us and keep us alive?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I mean, that very much was the motivating factor. We wanted to stay alive, but we had no idea whether the software thing would work. So I
Hmm.
think so Keep Your City Smiling launches in like early March. By May, we had the first prototype of our software. Sales trickled in for that in June. July was a little bit more. But then August, we actually like coming up to like the fall season when everyone was like, okay, we're going into conference season and we have to do virtual. So virtual events all of a sudden became like,
A
this is the
thing.
plan. Like things are still locked down. We all have to pivot our sales kickoffs, our conferences, our trade shows to virtual, all of that.
It's funny you mentioned the pandemic because when we had a lot of events that we were planning on going to at the beginning of the pandemic, and we were like,
Yeah.
did we go to SaaS or did we not go to SaaS? It was one of those like at the last minute. They canceled on like the very, very last. Like in Canada, restaurants were locked down and the conference was still going going to go. And we're like, I don't think they're, and you have to make this call of like, do I,
Yeah, right.
do I let my people go to this conference? And like, is it their call? Is it my call? Am I putting them in harm's way? Anyway, so SaaStr ended up canceling at the last minute. And from what I remember, the last minute, it could have been like a day or a week or a month. I have no idea. It was a long time ago. And we're like, okay, we got to transition to virtual conferences. And so we hosted a virtual conference. And I think we had 25 or 2,800 people show up.
Wow.
It's like the
That's incredible.
biggest.
Yeah.
It was wild. And the crazy thing was like at this point, my wife and I are both working from home. I have like exactly 850 square feet. I'm in a two bed, two bath. I've got twin
Yeah.
2-year-olds on the other side of the door. And the nanny because we couldn't get childcare in Vancouver. And my wife and I are working out of the bedroom. And so like I did a stream, we did 2 8-hour streams back to back with like 2,500 people.
Wow.
And it was all I had the MacBook Pro with like remember the funny like browser or the top row with like the digital buttons that everybody hated.
Yeah.
So I had
Yeah.
that thing.
Yeah.
It was one of the first USB-C ones. The USB-C was really, really loose. And everything. I had an extra monitor for OBS so that we could have that and stream it. And we had brought people in through Zoom. And so I was quarterbacking the whole thing from a cardboard Amazon box filled with towels so it didn't fall over. Like that was my standing desk. And it was all running through this USB-C adapter, like the internet, everything. So if that thing went, then like 2,500 people lost the stream. And like I had kids on the other side that were like pulling on the Cat 6 cable, but I had it tied, like I had it looped around a door. So if they did pull, it would just pull on the door. And oh man,
That's
it
wild.
was stressful. So yes, I remember
I
this
bet.
vividly. I'll send you a picture
Yeah.
of the janky cardboard box setup because it was hilarious. I had like lights
That's
and
funny.
everything, and I don't think you could tell, but in hindsight,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
pretty obvious. So
What people did.
everybody shuts down their events.
Yep.
They're going to virtual conferences now, and you're thinking, well, I don't love shipping hundreds of bags of coffee around America, so what should I do? And so I'm curious
Right.
about the timing. Like when did you start thinking about SnapBar as it exists today as an idea? Like where did that come from? How did you test it, validate it? Like, and then at what point in the business, in the Make Your City Smile or Keep Your City Smiling business, did you decide to shut it down? So I'd love to jump into the messy bits, man.
Sure. By the fall of 2020, the virtual photo booth piece, this tech, was working and growing. And we got the first inkling when we started having events like overseas, like in Japan. And we would do an event we literally did, I think, an event for Google in Pakistan, they have teams all over the world. We're like, whoa, like this is insane. We went from, big in the States to global and still relevant. And it's much higher profit margin, much less stressful in a new way, right? Like it's stressful if tech doesn't work, but it's not the same as when you're live at an event and a camera burns out, right? Or whatever. So that was when we first started thinking, could this be our future? Fast forward 4 months to about February of 2021, and Keep Your City Smiling was slowing down because after you send your teams 2 or 3 Keep Your City Smiling care packages, you're looking for other things to do. And by this point in time as well, remote work was like the standard. And so we just felt where we saw like business slowing down, basically. And what we did from there was then shut down Keep Your City Smiling and pivot all of the resources back to SnapBar. And technology piece that we were building at the time. And then April of 2020 was probably like our best month ever for revenue. That's it. We're going to keep doing this tech stuff.
So April 2021, best revenue month ever. Where were the customers coming from for the SnapBar platform? Were these the old customers that you had said, we'll let you out of your contracts? Was it the same folks? Was it different folks? How did the revenue rebound so quickly?
It was a lot of the same, even small businesses, but like when events had to become virtual, like this is what you do, right? And we coined the term virtual photo booth. So within 2 weeks of building out that page on our website, it became the standard. For a while, the definition was what our definition on our website that Google used. So we invented the trend in a sense. I mean, it was easy for us to rank because no one was building anything called virtual photo booth. Now, very quickly after that, we had lots of people copy the virtual photo booth. But when virtual became the word attached to anything event related, but online, it was easy. So all of our old customers, I mean, not all, but like a lot of them would come. And then anyone searching for a virtual photo booth, if they'd been a part of an event that saw it or heard about it from somewhere, we were the first result.
Amazing. And so you've jumped from this one like pandemic relevant business to another pandemic relevant business. I'm curious, how long did the virtual photo booth business kind of hang in there? And then like, what did that look like in getting to kind of the SnapBar that we know today?
I mean, technically it's still going. We still sell virtual photo booths. We still show up pretty high for that term, maybe not first anymore because we've deprioritized some of our focus on that. And we actually call it a digital photo booth now because the term virtual at a certain point locked us in so heavily to only that we didn't realize, that it's kind of got confused by it. The reason we decided to never go back to the old version of SnapBar, let alone Keeper City Smiling, which was that bridge kind of business. If you could at an in-person, okay. So the way that we delivered these virtual photo booths was via a microsite. It's a website. Well, it's great. Like if I sent you a microsite link, you could open it up on your laptop. But if I sent you it to your phone, you could also open it up on your phone. So who's to say that you couldn't use your phone as a virtual or digital photo booth? You can. And then we realized, well, the same thing applies to any other tablet or iPad, which powers a lot of traditional photo booths. So we realized like after the fact, after the pandemic started to kind of wind down, we actually built not generic in a bad way. Like it's actually photo booth software that works anywhere. That's the kind of idea that sparked what SnapBar is today, which is like, well, what if it didn't matter the hardware you had? And as long as you had a browser and a camera, any device becomes a UGC machine, right? User generated content. And that's what brands want at the end of the day is engagement, user generated content to be created. So at a stadium, does it make more sense when you're trying to engage 20,000 people to force them to get up from the game and walk to level 3 and go find section 205 and go to the Ticketmaster photo booth experience? Or could you like put a QR code on a big screen and have 10,000 of those people scan it and participate in something directly from their phone, right? Like that was the idea that kind of like, and funny enough, it was like Mark Cuban who told this to me. Like I did this, like I ended up working for Mark Cuban for a little bit. Like I hustled on Twitter and got his attention. And then I started building ads, creating ad content for him for Cyberdust, one of his early companies that he launched. And so I've like been connected to him on Twitter for a long time. And I have not reached out to him in years, but I did at one point to pitch SnapBar. So excited about SnapBar at the time we were growing. This was like 2019. And he was like, why would I buy or rent hardware with a camera when everyone at my games, I was pitching it for the Mavericks, the basketball team he owned at the time, has a camera in their pocket. And I was like, fair point. And so like, this is now years later, I was like, we did this, so we weren't even intending to, but like the software that we created now allows you to create branded content from anywhere. And that's kind of that locked in for us. And we were like, okay, sounds great. Let's go. And we're still doing that today.
Did you ever close the loop with Mark?
I think I did. And he's like very, very short. I mean, he sent me a paycheck, like, and everything, like as a contractor for creating these ads and whatnot, but it was not like an actual relationship. It was like Twitter based. So I'm pretty sure he was like something like, that's so great. Over. Like, no, I wasn't trying to pitch to, I was always very careful to not like ask for anything. And so I was updating him for a while in the pivot and he gave like some thumbs up in the messages and stuff like that. And I'm not going to bother him. And so, yeah, no, I never fully closed the loop, but
Maybe we'll have to clip this and send it to him. Thank you, Mark.
right. No, he's probably a regular listener. Don't sell yourself short, Colin.
Obviously. Yeah. He and I talked one time when I inquired about outbound.com, and he
Did he?
replied back, don't bother me. It wasn't don't bother me. It was like, let's not waste our time unless we're talking six figures. And I was like, I respect that, because
Yeah.
I was like, that filters me out right away.
Yep.
And funny enough, I used that exact line on somebody who reached out. I own the domain predictable.ai, and I've had a few people reach out in the last month, and I'm like, copy paste from Mark's.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, all my interactions with him were like awesome. And he wasn't going to waste his time being overly like, fluffy with stuff. So it was always like very short, very cutting to the point. But I mean, no, it was cool. I mean, he gave me some really valuable feedback.
So we look at kind of SnapBar. We went from like literally selling or renting boxes with cameras in them that you and your brother made in your garage, which is amazing. The pivot to the, keep your city smiling.
Yeah.
And then the transition into the virtual booth, and then the transition into back from COVID. Like, this is quite the journey.
Yeah.
If you were to have guessed, 10 years ago when you were kind of starting, or when you were in the middle of like renting, wood, would you have guessed that you would have gone this direction? Was it clear to you back then? Or were you like, I just want to collect as many cameras as possible?
No. Yeah. No, I mean, what has motivated me as an entrepreneur for a long time is the freedom and flexibility that an entrepreneurial person can potentially attain to. Now, it started out as very romantic as an idea. The reality of being an entrepreneur actually sucks a lot of the time and is very difficult. So I've learned in that process, it's not all, good smelling roses or whatever the expression is. But yeah, I mean, I love the freedom to work on the things that I find interesting. And I'm very much a very traditional entrepreneur, where it's like, I'm really good at 0 to 1. I can deal with 1 to 2, 2 to 10 bores me to death, right? If that's the total life cycle of growing and scaling a large organization. I like working with a much smaller team. It's the reason that we're small today. So I mean, part of its lifestyle, I guess, in that sense has been, and so I'm very open to working on new things. And I've started so many side projects over the years too, or considered them and kind of gone down the road. I just threw out the other day like a whole package of like perfume scents and test tube bottles and spray canister things, because I was like convinced I was going to start a cologne, like a fragrance company but like, because I thought like, hey, marketing for fragrances has been like the same for like 50 years, where it's like some guy with a 6-pack and this fancy brand that I could care less, that I would never wear or buy anything from, marketing to me. And it's just like, there should be something better, like something like, what about cologne that's like funny or relevant to like me? Anyway, so like I like pursued that idea for a long time, and I had names and branding and like, so that's just who I am. I like doing that kind of stuff. So absolutely not did I think this is the plan.
I mean, I think that resonates with so many people. It's like, you can look back and say, oh yeah, the hindsight, there's this through line through the whole thing. But, it's impossible to say, from one moment to the next. The journey is a roller coaster. And when you're going up, sometimes it feels like you're going to go up forever. And when it's going down, it also feels like this roller coaster is going to go so far down. Yeah. I'm going to go through the ocean into the center of the earth. And like,
Yeah, I'm burned. Yeah, 100%.
What comes next for you for SnapBar?
For the past year and a half, we have been working on a platform, right? So if you think about what we do and have done, our business model has been very much like, we're like a productized agency of sorts, right? So if you want to do something with us and you have this full idea for some type of photo or video experience, and we're building this custom website for you, you would approach us. We'd have a real conversation selling you on this custom thing, anywhere from 3 to 4K to 6-figure contracts, depending on the scale of the activation and the events, et cetera. And we have a dashboard, but it's super minimal. And the core reasons people end up getting experiential marketing activations is like hoping that it produces like fruit for the event, or ROI, like they want, and so we are in the process of trying to take all the fun stuff we've done and marry it to the business results that you need in the world of marketing and events. And so if we can create an experiential marketing platform that allows for the creative aspect and the creation aspect of these cool things, and the tracking, the analytics, the lead integration, et cetera, and bring them together, we move up a level from like, it's a nice thing to have to it's a needed thing to have in my kind of event marketing tool bag. That's the journey we're currently on, is like, it's this, a lot of the same products, but new wrapper, new kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's a lot more than new wrapper. It's fundamentally even new tech, and we've rebuilt a lot of the code. And so it's launching in the next couple of weeks. That's what we've been working on for a long time. All the while, like, continuing to try to grow the agency side of the business, but like, how can we automate even more of that agency side for reaching like greater scale?
Love that. I really appreciate you coming on. I really appreciate you coming on a second time and sharing the second half of the story. If folks want to learn more about SnapBar, or if they want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, I'm somewhat active on LinkedIn, so you can find me, Sam Eitzen. Obviously, the website's the best place, www.snapbar.com. And that's pretty much it. I'm not super active anywhere else. So it's the easiest place.
Nice. You dropped the from SnapBar. I love that. Because didn't it used to be the?
We did.
Or is that
we did. Like, we took after Mark. Yeah.
Love it.
It did. It was. Oh, technically our official registered name is like the Snap Bar, and like the B is capitalized, and like why we ever did that, I'm not sure. But we didn't own snapbar.com. So we actually had to buy the main snapbar.com like years into our business. It was like a scary, I mean, we bought it for like 5 figures. It wasn't too crazy, but it was like a lot more money than I wanted to spend on a domain name. But I'm glad we did.
Right on. Well, Sam, thank you so much for coming on the show again. I really appreciate it. And thanks to everybody for listening. We'll catch y'all next time.